from talking about Cameroon, they have not exactly been incorporated. This is against the background of a bromide that was, recently released allegedly by the Cameroonian government, saying that intelligence shouldn't be shared with the Nigerian government. But he also mentioned something about, Goza bordering Damboa. We also know the battle that the Nigerian army had in trying to reclaim Damboa as a town. Can we add these two together to know that these people, this Boko Haram people, are actually in a very precarious position? And wouldn't you also say that they've exposed themselves?
Yes, they are in a precarious position, but let me take it a bit further. Let us consider the two sides of the border litmus paper upon which an agent sits. For them to have taken Goza as against probably an equivalent town on the other side speaks volumes. Well, it could be hot on both sides, but it's less hot here. Okay, I want to believe something. The goings within our army in the last 3 months simply emboldened these people to make that declaration. Goza has been blinking, as I told you. It's been a cat and rat thing. And somebody is just thinking and saying, look, for whatever reasons, for fallacy or for truth, let's exploit what is already happening to hype our own image or our own position. But the fact of the matter can only be conferred upon us now by time. Within the next 3 months, we should be able to know whether Goza is really under us or it's been taken.
What kind of indications, or why did you say that?
You're going to see it. As we speak, there's been a video footage. We've seen a lot of things. Fine. The authorities have come out to say there is no fact in that. Nobody will take part of our country and will not be made to pay for it. Okay, cool. Now let's watch and see. On one side, I look to see robust efforts. Look, why can't we have a very strong military unit in Goza? What stops the division headquarters of that unit from being... What stops you turning Goza into one of those big cantonments like we have?
You've got to be properly armed and funded.
Exactly. That's what happened in Siberia. That's what happened in Calabar when Bakassi reared its head. Abacha just set up a military unit.
So why is it different now?
That's exactly what we're saying. I spoke
we can't rule out sabotage, can we?
There will always be sabotage, Chamberlain, even among the 13 that served, no, the 12 that served Christ. There was a saboteur. It's not an excuse. When I hear people say sabotage, I feel crestfallen. Security is to sabotage as sabotage is to security. Learn to live with it. Once you accept it that it's in you and it's going to grow and it will, your mind begins to attune to what you need to do to contain it at the very least if it happens. But there will ever be sabotage, I assure you. You can only reduce the possibility of it happening to as minimal as possible, but you can't eliminate it.
Are we leaving this entire thing to the military? Because one would have thought that the police have this rich presence within the country. And so are we doing anything to also see how we could let them up there again? Because even they've had their own is a mobile command unit in Bunia. They also attacked because that location was also strategic, but it's been recently attacked again by the insurgents.
Even before the state of emergency was declared, the police has been the most hard hit. A lot of police stations and policemen went down before the state of emergency was declared. The the situation on ground is not a military thing, though we tend to focus on military. I want to see a robust, a cocktail of solutions where the army chiefs, the customs chiefs, the immigration chiefs, everybody will be sitting down and actually exploiting this opportunity to grow. The immigration should be looking at it as an opportunity to actually do something about their borders, the customs. Even the civil defense. By now, civil defense should be up and doing and trying to sensitize people about the no to terrorism thing. That's basically their baby.
We understand that the civilians, there's this just civilian JTF, that's their name, that they have, they have been up in arms against this Boko Haram terrorists, and they have been very helpful.
Yeah, they've been helpful, but if I was in position, I'm speaking from the military perspective, and I had civilians forming a JTF, I'll probably weep, I'll break down and cry.
Why?
Why would you need civilians to form a joint task force if you were on your game? That you have civilians standing up to do that is simply also an indicator that, look, these guys have known that we can't leave it in these people's hands. Well, let's do what we can to help them because they can't help us.
But isn't that more about citizen participation?
Citizen participation, yes, but the flip side of the coin is what we are looking at. Okay, fine, citizen participation, they've done it, they've succeeded. What are you going to do with them beyond the insurgency?
Well, Olani says, what is the role of the NSA in all of this?
The NSA actually should be like someone who is sitting up there and having an aerial, perspective of what is happening in Nigeria. The National Security Advisor is not only about the military. National security could be threatened even medically, like Ebola. National security could be threatened even agriculturally or even educationally, like you have so many unemployed and just. So the NSA actually is one big family of think tanks. That's my own understanding of the NSA. And he is like, do I call him the national, I won't want to use the word devil's advocate, but he's meant to look at it and say, look, based on these trends, based on statistics, where do we see this thing going in the next 10, 15 years? And then with all due respect, if the NSA 10, 15 years ago had actually seen it properly, he may have been able to see this trend.
So, the issue of propaganda, it looks as if there's a build-up on the part of the enemy, but the military on the Nigerian side doesn't seem to have, they're more like in a denial.
Yeah, if you look at it, let me just put it aptly. As far as propaganda is concerned, one side is on the offensive, the other is on the defensive. Our our military seems to be on the defensive, while the insurgents seem to be on the offensive. And that itself is what I've tried to tell you, that when what you say doesn't align with what is on ground, then you will have to become defensive.
Okay, well, that's where we'll have to draw the curtains, even though, yes, you have so many questions still begging for answers. I mean, they're asking, where do these people buy their fuel? How do they refuel all those vehicles? Why is it difficult for us to find out, name those who are funding them? If you said you were going to name the names of those behind them. There's just so much, but thank you for coming out this morning.
You're welcome.
Captain Aliyu Umar, a security consultant focusing on the security situation in the country today. We'll be back in just a moment. Join us again.